Nice to see you
Likewise.
guys.
Okay, it's 4 o'clock.
Okay.
We're in Merrill City Hall. This is a regular meeting of the Merrill Transit System. And the second item on the agenda is public comment.
Yes, I have some public comment. Mayor Steve Ross, 702 East 6th Street, Merrill. I have concerns with item number 7, I believe it is, the Tomahawk bus service. I have talked to Brad and Rick about this in the past. We don't service our whole city the way it is right now. We don't service Glen Drive, we don't service Rio Grande Drive, other areas. We don't service some of the apartments out by the Mark. I think that before we even look or attempt at doing anything for another city, we need to service our whole city first and take care of our own citizens. Brad and I had talked, even dispatching, you're still not doing our citizens any justice if you're not able to give everybody the same chance to use the transit system in Merrill. I believe that this would be bad for the city. If City of Tomahawk would like the director to come up there and tell them how our current bus system runs, I think that would be okay. But as far anything further than that, I think that it should stop right there. Thank you.
Thanks. Do we have any other public comment? Other public comment? There's no other public comment, so we'll move to item number 3, approve the minutes of the September 2023 regular meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve them as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
No.
It's passed. Okay. Item number 4 is administrator's report.
Well, I'm happy to report that the ridership is steady at an average of 185 a day.
Good.
So that's the good news. Employee status, we're still short part-time people, that we know. Looking at that, well, I'm sure we'll talk more about that kind of thing in item number 5. The quarterly report. We have the quarterly reports, 2023. You can see we're once again doing better than we were in 2022. Back to what I would call normal numbers for pre-COVID. And by that, I mean, if you look at the history of the decline, we're back to right about where we would have been pre-COVID. So considering that's 3 years ago, I think that would, to me, would be a positive that we're not further off than we were, than what it appears to be.
Have you been on the radio recently, or are you planning on being on?
Not recently. I am working on, I'm trying to work on a new ad kind of thing.
Okay, the only reason I
that
say,
I
because,
can-
we get people moving in and new people that don't know anything about the bus system, so.
In fact,
to get
we've had, in the last 2 days, we've had about three new students,
Mhm.
and I want to say 2 or 3 people that had just moved into the area.
Good, so that,
Sign up and
so
are
we
going
need
to be
to
riding.
keep getting
so.
the word out there
But
that we're
I'm-
there for them.
But I'm trying to work up some sort of new ad kind of thing to present, and then also with that, I'm going to lead into the tour lights.
Okay.
Try and get all that out there.
Correct. Okay,
So
thank you.
I'm trying.
Right. Thank you.
Looks like the revenue was way up compared to like when you go back to 2016 and 17. That's a big difference. That's not, what would you, is that because of having the people like we have the passes and the amount we get for,
I think,
Per ride.
I think what happened is what is it in there? I think that includes the Inclusa and
yeah, that's, I guess, yeah, that's
Iris,
kind of what I
Iris
was.
accounts, yep.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll make a motion to accept the administrator's report as presented.
I'll second.
Any discussion? Any other questions on it? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, it's passed. Okay. On to number 5, restructure employee to maintain coverage plans.
Okay, Denise, I know you don't have this.
Okay, I will listen well.
But what I've got, what you've got in front of you
You have one,
is
Joe?
some budget numbers and following our current structure versus versus a fourth full-time employee structure. Looking at the hours and everything and how they work. We have an option for a fourth full-time person, which would put full-time people at 4 10-hour days or thereabouts, making 40 hours a week for all of them. That is advantageous if only everybody is here. As soon as somebody takes vacation or calls in sick, under that option 1, it is a nightmare to try and find coverage. Because if you're taking coverage from 1, you're now going to have possibly 2 people doing overtime versus 1. I see it as a good option if everybody's here all the time. Under our
You
current,
can't be flipping back and forth, because you know when vacation is, but you really can't be flipping back and forth from option 1 to current, or,
the problem with that is a lot of times vacation comes up short notice. People are like, well, can I vacation tomorrow or the next day and if we're down to 2 part-time people and say somebody calls in sick, say a full-time person calls in sick, under our current structure, we have that part-time person there every morning. And that gives us the ability to have them stay late while we can find coverage. If somebody calls in sick, under the fourth full-time person, there's not really hardly anybody to cover that early in the morning.
But would a part-time person come in if somebody called in sick?
If we can get a hold of them.
Okay.
You know, if you can, and I mean, and that, if you're looking at like option 1, the fourth full-time person, if I'm that part-time person and I'm working Monday and Wednesday mornings, I may have something else already planned for Tuesday,
Yeah.
Thursday, or Friday morning. If we stay under the current, they're here already. They are much more accessible than with a fourth full-time person. Does that make sense?
so if you had a
Yes.
full-time person, you would work it into the current schedule.
It's option 1.
Correct. But you like our current schedule, correct?
I do.
Correct. And so and we're looking at hopefully getting another full-time driver, correct? Isn't that what our goal?
That is up to you guys, but.
I thought that was our goal.
In order to do that, we have to find hours for them to work.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so if there's no room in our current schedule for another full-time person unless you're gonna have somebody
Okay.
doing
See,
nothing.
So then it changes
So then you have to change the structure.
full-timers going 10-hour days.
Right, right.
You have to change the
Four.
structure.
But technically, on this current schedule, you don't have a number 7, right?
Correct.
So number 7 is technically blank, right, or whatever number you
Right
wanna say.
now, so the number, number 1, 2, 3, and 4,
1 being Lori.
one being Lori,
Okay.
and the full-time drivers, all 4 of those people are rotating every week
To be number 7.
to be number 7.
But on this
So-
one, everybody has the hours they're supposed to have. But if somebody's sick,
If somebody calls in sick or goes on
or goes on
vacation,
vacation,
then
but then could you pull Lori to drive in place of that?
When they do. They do.
That's
Is that
what
what you would do on,
happens now.
I would think that would, what you would do
That's-
on either one of them.
depending upon what position it is.
Because I would think if a full-time person called in sick today, you still have to have somebody, and you only have 2 other drivers, so then would Lori drive?
We have, depending upon the situation, the part-time person can come back and cover part of an afternoon route,
Okay.
and they do that a lot.
Okay,
But they could-
so I guess, number 6 is the budget. I've been hearing the budget is, meetings are going to be coming up, or if they've already started.
They've started,
Okay, I knew they were coming up.
they've
Thank you,
started,
Steve.
the capital meeting had already happened, so all of the capital projects were approved, or not
Right.
approved, but are recommended for the council to approve.
Okay,
Tonight, I thought was supposed to be general, but apparently that's not going to be because the numbers weren't out in time.
okay.
So there's some other things that are going to be done
So
for
we are
tonight.
asking for another full-time person? Is that correct in the
Our
budget?
budget is budgeting for a fourth full-time person
Okay.
because it was my understanding that that is the direction the commission wanted to go.
Well, I think that's correct.
So we
Jill?
have a budget.
Jill?
We have a budget in the packet
Because I thought
for
at
a
the
full,
last
for a
meeting-
fourth full-time person.
Jill, what
And
did
if
you
you
have?
look at the last page of that, the little graph thing,
Yes,
that shows the impact of adding the fourth full-time person, which would be an additional cost of $7,609. That's the difference between the current structure and going to the fourth full-time person.
Now, if you didn't add a 4th full-time driver, and let's say something happened where somebody's out for a long period of time, aren't you going to spend more paying everybody overtime for covering the weeks like we had earlier?
Like we have previously?
Like we have previously,
Okay.
then
So-
having that 4th full-time person, that then you might, it
So
might not be
as
that
it is,
impact.
overtime payment is not beneficial because the city budget doesn't have the overtime money there.
no.
So what's happening under the current schedule, and it would happen even probably greater under the fourth full-time person option, is we're covering the absent person with a full-time person picking up some hours. Those hours translate into comp time, which then needs to be taken off. When that person takes that comp time off, now that translates into 2 people working extra time, creating comp time, creating more time off. So we're in this vicious circle of creating our own shortages.
Comp time, does that need to be used up within the year, or can they carry that over for how long?
The
A certain amount can be carried
There-
over, right?
Yeah,
The current structure of it is you can have no more than 80 hours. You can get paid out 40 hours, and you can carry over 24 hours.
okay.
That is the city's policy on that.
Mhm.
The drivers had asked me a while ago to go to Personnel and Finance and ask if they could carry more over. I did that at that time. The response was, there is no need for that right now. If the need arises, come back and see us. However, other departments were in the same situation with shortage of people, and they were not allowed to carry over additional comp time.
Okay.
Just snowballs.
Yes, it does. It
It
does.
just completely snowballs
Yeah.
on you.
That's true, Joe.
So the thing is, you can't not pay out comp time. So
Correct.
Now, if you had like vacations scheduled and you were at this 4 full-time drivers, and let's say you know that people are on vacation, would your part-time drivers pick up if it was Friday and they don't normally drive? If they know ahead of time?
if they know ahead of time and I can ask them ahead of time, a lot of times they will. Now, what if we lose because we're going to this fourth full-time person, we're taking a lot of hours away from part-time people. So we have to consider the fact of, okay, are these part-timers going to stick around with only getting 11 hours a week what, 5.5 hours a week versus 25? Are they gonna stick around? Are they, or are we gonna end up in a really bad situation where you're gonna have 3 people working 12.5 hours of overtime a week and then becoming burned out?
So our part-timers would go down to only 5 hours a week?
Would that still be, and how many part-timers are you talking about?
That would be 2 of them,
2 of them?
Which is what
Okay.
you have right now.
which is what we have right now.
Mm-hmm.
Working, what are they, 15 hours a week?
Mm-hmm.
Plus extras.
Which if the
I see.
part-timers work it, then they save overtime, right?
Then we don't
Because
pay
it's-
the overtime
Right,
or the comp time.
Or the comp time.
yeah.
I mean, how often are people on vacation? How often do people call in sick? That would be a,
What is the tenure? Yes. 2 weeks vacation. Do most of our drivers only have 2 weeks vacation? Or up to 3?
Most of them right now are carrying over 3 weeks vacation.
do a lot of them take like a week at a time, or do they take like days here and there?
It varies. Some people take weeks, some people take days.
We don't have the
depends on what they're
policy
doing.
where they have to take 1 full week at a time.
Nope.
Nope.
Okay. Because I know some places do. Okay.
So your idea then is that you stick with your current schedule, and you're not thinking that bringing on a 4th full-time driver is the answer to the situation.
That's what I gathered.
The
mean,
answer,
that's-
the real answer to the situation is to find that 3rd, if not 4th, part-time person. That is the ultimate answer that would eliminate 99.9% of our problems.
However,
However, not being able to find that
Ah.
person
Right.
is our challenge.
because if I recall correctly, you said that there was somebody that you could probably hire for the 4th full-time because they were,
Because they're,
yeah,
they
they were
would come, they would come
experienced
back.
and- Yeah.
Could you hire a 4th not at 40 hours?
Or do they need the 40 hours, this person that you had in mind, need the 40 hours plus, all the
Benefits.
benefits? They need the
That's why-
benefits?
That's why they left us in the first place,
And what's
Is
the
it-
minimum for what's considered a full-time employee?
40 hours.
40 or is it, it's
32.
not lower?
It's 40 hours as a full-time employee. Anything short of that, I believe, is a part-time, and your benefits are all prorated as such.
No, it'd be full-time over 30, I think,
I
isn't
thought
it?
it was, well, like some
The law.
places are 32 or
32, yeah.
36, so like if they were still gonna get their benefits then, but they just weren't gonna work the full
Mr.
40 hours.
What's the city policy, Mr. Mayor, if you,
I believe it's 32 hours.
32,
and
okay,
then
so-
they're- And then they're
prorated?
prorated.
Okay.
Mhm.
Because that's like our enrichment center director.
to become eligible, my understanding is to become eligible for benefits within the city, you have to work a minimum of 20 hours per week
Mhm.
regularly. Correct?
I believe so.
So if you hired them at 32 hours or whatever it is, they still could get the full-time benefits, it would just be prorated.
Mhm.
It'd be prorated, but then it's also prorating the cost of insurance, so they're paying more for insurance. Therefore,
Yeah, they're paying a higher percentage of
their insurance, which
Their-
means they're not,
their salary into insurance.
yep. Pros and cons.
Yep,
Mhm.
Can I ask a question?
yes.
What is your part-time people, so right now they work 15 hours a week? What if you bumped it to 25 hours a week to attract the new people to come in? That way you're still below full-time status.
There's,
Where would they work?
Well, obviously you have a shortage of drivers.
I understand that, but the hours that are available,
If you need 2 more drivers, what's the difference? Because these drivers that you have part-time now aren't gonna stick around forever. And if you moved up the hours to 25 from 15, you would still have 20 hours more coverage.
but it's the same time of day.
I understand that, but
Because if you had 4 part-time people in this schedule, where would the 4th part-time person be working?
There wouldn't be a fourth part-time person in this.
This one, your current one.
In
Your
current?
Because like
In the
7 would be
current
your
one,
next one.
okay, the fourth part-time person fills in a part-time position 1 day a week. You know, so one day they would run this one day they would run this one day they would run this one.
So then your
So
current ones
The current
would
ones
lose
all get a day off.
the hours.
That's that we've been to that level and it worked great, because the part-time guys all got a day off during the week, they weren't getting burned out.
What do your part-time people think? Would they prefer to work less hours, or would they prefer to have like that day
Depends
off?
which ones you talk to. You talk to
We
them,
have two,
and
right?
some of them will be like, I'll work whatever I can. I want to work 5 days a week. Some of them are like, yeah, I'll take the day off during the week. I mean, it depends.
So if we're gonna hire somebody, what we need to say is, this is what your hours are going to be. Not, well, what do you wanna work? This is what we're offering you.
Right, that's what we're offering right now, is a part-time position, 6:45 to 9:15 or 9:45, depending upon the shift. That's what we're offering.
And
5 days a
that's
week right now.
15 hours a week.
15 hours a week, give or take.
Yeah.
I mean, we have, people that are, when it says east, when you look at this current schedule and it says eastbound, you work 6:45 to 9:15. Okay? If you're on the westbound, it says 6:45 to 9:45. So those two are pretty set. Those are the hours you're gonna work. When you are on the third bus, if there's nothing on the third bus after 8:30, there's times that the guys will say, I have nothing on, so I'm gonna leave, is it okay if I leave at 8:30?
Mhm.
And we're like, yeah, you can leave at 8:30. Because there's nothing for that bus.
Did you talk to them? Like, would the part-time people be okay with the cut in hours? Or
I haven't-
would you lose them if
I haven't talked to
you
them.
hired a full-time person?
I haven't talked to them.
I think you'd probably lose them, Sarah, because, part-time, they've been doing this many hours, and
Yeah.
they're kind of counting on that. So I guess, looking at it, I would think that they'd say, okay,
I
that's
mean,
fine.
when we had our recent situation, I was asked by that driver, do I need to look someplace else? Do I need to look someplace else? I said, no, So, I mean, it's,
What was that situation? You'd have to kind of,
Randy.
oh, okay, gotcha.
mean, I love the idea of getting another person and filling positions, but I can see where that can totally backfire. And then you got people working.
Okay,
uh,
but you're saying we need another driver.
I'm saying we need a part-time driver to solve the
Okay.
problem.
So one part-time driver would be fine.
But would 15 hours a week take care of all the problems?
One
No matter
part-time
what the
driver would
situation
take care
is?
of all the problems then.
Pretty much, because that's the position that we're covering with overtime.
Okay, well then, if that's
And
what
then-
you want.
And then if we need to cover, we have that position, we're not covering it every week.
So the two part-time right now, I'm assuming they do the 6:45 to 9:45 shift?
Or
do
the
they do-
6:45 to 9:15.
Okay.
Or the third bus. It rotates because whatever the person who's in rotation for that week of overtime, they might, depending upon what route they're on, determines, so they're on that particular route, they run that route all day. So if that person's on the eastbound for the week, they run 6:45 to 5:15, 5 days a week, and get 12 and a half hours of overtime. The other two part-time drivers work the west and the third bus. If the full-time person's on the west bus, then the two part-time drivers work east and third. Does that make sense?
Mhm.
But we've advertised for a part-time driver, yes, and
Yep.
and just
And
have had zero luck.
At zero. Now,
I know, we have to go to the right places to
I ran across
find something.
I might have stumbled across an option that would target specific people at specific times or something. That would basically target school bus drivers.
I was thinking of that.
I have an option there that might work that way, where it would be done through technology.
How does that work?
I don't know. It just would target school bus drivers, is what I'm told.
But aren't you more short-staffed when school's in session than you are when school isn't in session? Because
When school's not in session, we can get by with less.
like, you
can't-
don't need that third part-time driver in the morning? Like during summer, let's say.
During summer, we can get by without it.
So then,
It's not optimal, but we can.
But you
And we
can.
have done it, where we get by with two buses. Now, like, coming up on the 26th and 27th, there's no school. So I'm not running the third bus in the morning. I'm saving that overtime. And I got a couple people on vacation, so that even limits even more because people are on vacation. So now, because we can get by with two buses, hopefully, that's what we're gonna do. And there's situations where we can, it's not ideal.
yeah, I just mean like when school isn't in session, it's easier to get by with.
When school's not in session, it's easier to get by without. Now, the way the current system is set up and scheduled, I don't know how long. I don't know how long that it's been that way. But that has been what has worked. It's been,
Has there ever been more than 3 full-time drivers in the past few years?
I don't think there's ever
No,
been
there's
more than 3.
never been more than 3 full-time drivers.
Not in my memory,
It's always been 3 full-time drivers, and the part-time drivers, where we've had 4 part-time drivers.
Okay.
Has been our maximum, which is not great, but. So there's never been a 4th full-time driver, ever. Nobody could ever make it work, no matter how you looked at it. And this is the best, option 1 here, that's the best I can find to make it work. But again, it only works really if everybody's here and available. And like I said, if we start, and then if we start losing part-time drivers, then we're really in a world of hurt, because now you got 3 people doing 12.5 hours of overtime a week instead of 1.
So we're back to hiring a part-time. I mean, we've come back to trying to hire
The
a.
budget.
That's what I would think, yeah.
The budget,
Well, I
The
wondered
budget-
when we talked about a full-time driver, I mean, and I just did the math on my little worksheet here, and I'm like, that's just gonna be more money.
It
If
is.
we don't have more money,
Yeah.
no, it's broke down for you.
yeah, I see.
The finance director, at that would be the cost difference. The budget that is scheduled to go through the budget right now does have 4 full-time
Worked into
drivers
it.
in it. That's the one that's scheduled to go to budget. If it were to go without it, and the reason that we're doing it that way is because the consideration was there.
Mhm.
Ultimately, it's your decision, not mine, what is best. I'm just presenting what I think.
Right.
Right, well, you're the one that has to work with it.
I do,
and-
and
And we need to understand what you're wanting.
that's why I'm trying to
That's-
explain to you
Yeah.
where the pros and cons of each of these are, and that's where it becomes very difficult.
Well, it doesn't sound like a lot of pros for option 1. It just seems like that's a pinch. There's no way you're gonna have people wanting to work 5.5 hours a week.
No,
It's just not gonna happen. Not anybody.
it's not
with-
worth the time.
No, not
Right?
with the skill levels people need for that, they
Yeah.
could do something else.
Right.
And for the same, like for 15 hours and make the same amount of money, so. And I think that some of the reasons people like to be a driver is something, they love it, some of the people do, and
Correct.
they might love it at 15 hours a week, but that amount of love kind of dwindles when you get to 5.5 hours a week, so that's.
Right.
And even if you were to take, and, say we lose 1 part-time person, and, okay, now the other part-time person
They
can
get
work the
10.
4 days a week and get the 10 or 12 hours a week.
Plus filling in for people when they're sick, if they're
plus-
available.
Plus filling in for afternoon shifts or whatever. But then now we're really limiting that part-time person or people to come in and help cover other times too, or for vacations and things.
So, we're looking at a part-time person, yes?
Yep,
I mean,
yep.
is that what we're looking at?
Yep.
And,
But the budget is,
Although we didn't officially pass the full-time, 4 full-times. I don't think we talked about it, but it wasn't voted.
yeah,
We
in my
talked
notes,
about it.
we
We
talked
talked
about
about
it.
it.
we talked
Yeah.
about it, and it was put
But
in the
I-
budget because
Yeah.
we talked about it as an
Okay.
option.
Right.
Because we needed to get it in the budget.
In
If
case.
there's a
case.
Okay.
possibility.
In
Gotcha.
case.
That was it.
No,
Gotcha.
I'm not,
Correct.
I don't think we want to take
Because
that
you have to.
possibility
Yeah.
off the table. So I think we proceed with the budget for it.
Okay.
Because if it comes back and we start losing part-time people, this gives us the ability to go back and add that fourth full-time person
Yeah.
down the road.
Right.
Yeah, which.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because with not having at least two part-time people, the extra full-time is really the only answer, if that part-time person can't be found. So that makes sense.
So if we lose a part-time person.
Right.
Then we can look at
Increasing
adding that,
hours. Yeah.
adding
That
that fourth full-time person, and that one part-time person will get the 4 days a week.
It sounds like they'd, you know, with sick time and stuff like that, they'd end up getting more than 15 and a half hours a week. It wouldn't be regular. It would be,
What about, contacting the NTC? They have the semi-drivers, and, they try it out. Maybe some don't like it. Maybe some would like driving bus. That's an option to contact there and see, if they didn't like the
We've got the driving
program.
school in town here.
Yeah, correct. They're driving a big thing,
Yep.
Buses are,
No, I've talked to them.
have you?
Yeah.
And how is that,
Most of the people that go there for a B license
yeah.
are already doing it because they got a job someplace.
they're just
Right.
improving their
And-
situation, their
Right,
current situation.
and the
Okay.
people that are going there to drive truck are going to drive truck.
Okay. I thought it was a possibility.
It is, and it's been,
Yeah.
I've looked at
I
it.
Right.
We're not having any luck any other way.
Right.
So then your
I mean,
idea about, explain to me what you're thinking about,
I stumbled,
Bus driver
I stumbled through the marketing committee meeting the
Okay.
other day. And we were talking about that because they were asking questions about the tour of lights.
mhm.
And so then one of the persons in that meeting, I don't know who it is or what they do, but they have the ability to digitally send out ads
Oh, I know what
somehow
you mean,
Yeah.
to
Like-
specific groups.
to specific groups.
Yes.
You know,
Yeah, yes.
messages or
Yes.
ads on phones or things like
Yep,
that.
It'll
text
come through
message.
based off of
It's
where
not
you are.
inexpensive,
Right,
though.
so that's, I guess, an option, but, I mean, I don't, it's recruiting, is it fair to go after somebody else's drivers that way? You know,
Maybe
I,
they're not happy where they are.
Well-
They would like a
Or
change.
maybe they only drive part of the day, and
Yeah.
they'd be willing to
No.
drive the other half of the day.
problem is the part of the day they're driving is the part of the
Is
day
the-
that we need.
That you need.
But what if you
Or what
flipped a
about-
full-time person and then the other part-time driver drove at night? Instead of them driving 6:45 to 9:45, what if they drove at night and then the full-time person started at 6:45 1 week?
One particular shift? Not a
No,
bad
like
idea.
if you hired so let's say you hired a part-time person that's gonna work like the afternoon, whatever that would be, for the 3 hours instead, then what if your full-time people rotated and they just started at 6:45 and they had a shorter day, 1 week out of the month, and then you got a part-time person that worked at night? Would the part-time person have to work in the morning, or could you flip-flop these? Because it would still be a
Depending on
driver.
their
It'd still be a
availability,
driver and
right.
still
Yeah.
could be flip-flopped, I guess.
Because you might find somebody who drives a school bus in the morning, but they don't drive the afternoon
Mhm.
shift. And they might drive for you in the afternoon.
So we're really not poaching, is what we're saying.
Yeah. You're giving
We're
them
dri-
options.
We're given options, or
No,
what about?
I
them
understand, and I guess that's something I hadn't thought of, quite honestly, is flipping it, because,
Or maybe people work in the morning and they're willing to pick up the couple extra hours because they
Um,
want to at night.
the problem, I guess, well, they rotate.
Yeah. So like 1 week you would have your early week, then the next, like your 3 full-time people could rotate, and every third week they would get the early start and the early end. If you could hire a afternoon driver. If that makes sense.
I mean, clearly, we gotta think outside the box.
Right.
Because what's
right.
going
No,
on isn't
I understand
working.
what you're saying. I'm trying to figure out how I'm trying to figure out how one would flip the rotation, because it seems that with the 3, when you get 3 people doing the it's like these two people are paired and these two people are paired and these two people are paired. So it's not like if that's how it ends up, then this driver always gets to work 6:45 to,
Whatever it would be.
yeah, whatever it be, 2:45 or whatever. This person always gets that, and then the other two full-time drivers don't. See what I'm saying? Because they all rotate, and so it always ends up where, this person's always working with this person, this person's always working with this person. So to try and figure out how I'm gonna flip all that around,
They would just have to work with somebody else they would have to work with somebody
right,
else
but
the
the
opposite weeks.
part-time drivers rotate as well as the full-time drivers. So they all work, they work east-west third, east-west third,
Okay.
and the full-time drivers work east-west third, east-west third.
Well, does it really matter who it would be? Then I'm not sure I understand why that would matter.
If it's one full-time person always working 6:45 in the morning to 2:45 in the afternoon.
Why would that be? Why couldn't you just rotate that person around? Like, so some people,
Just make it a shift? That we could do that, make it a shift.
Or just like rotate that
yeah,
No,
basically.
we could make it a shift, like third bus. If you worked the third bus, then you worked that.
Yeah, you just know
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
like,
yeah,
instead
yeah,
of
yeah,
having,
no,
so
no, I
instead
get
of
it, I get
rotating
it.
east-west third, east-west third, yeah, let's just say like your third bus
You
is
would
always
still,
your
you would
early shift.
still east-west third, but
They-
the third bus, the full-timer would be the early person. I get it, yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
what I'm saying is that your third bus, instead of rotating your part-time people, let's say your third bus is gonna be your early shift bus. You know that whoever this number 7 part-time person is always works at night, so they're always on the third bus. And your other 2 part-time people just rotate east-west. And then your full-time drivers just rotate through, just knowing that when they're scheduled for the third bus, they get the early shift every 3 weeks. If that makes sense.
Well, I guess I don't see why a rotation wouldn't work with everybody, if you know what I mean. I guess I don't, because,
I think it would.
I mean, I'm not sure I understand the rationale that these two, they kind of always are paired.
Right, that's not
I-
a necessity.
No.
No, it just
Maybe-
so happens that way because everybody
Correct.
rotates shifts.
Right.
Right.
So, I mean, you have,
But if you were to do the third bus, a constant, and then the part-timers would just do east and west. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, like if you wanted to, or you could rotate all 3.
sure,
Either way. But if you wanted to be like, yep, the third bus is always going to be the early shift and the part-time at night, and then east and west, the part-time rotate, but then your full-time still rotate east-west third, so that every third week your full-time person gets the early shift. And then they're paired up with somebody else for those weeks.
Right,
of
the
it
easiest
just-
way to do it would just be to just make the third bus, because that would,
I mean, you don't, I guess
that would, to me, that would make the most sense, just make the third bus the early shift.
And then people know that when you're on
Yeah.
your third week or however it is, that's your, when you're on the third bus, you have the early shift
Yeah,
every
'cause
3 weeks.
one thing, you don't want the same person on the third bus all the time, because you want everybody to be able to do that, right? That's part of the whole point.
But that would be,
of
the full-timers would,
Yeah, the
the
full-time.
full-timers would rotate that.
Right.
The part-timers wouldn't, they would just stay
Well-
on east and west in the morning.
And your part-time in the morning don't really want to work at night, so they
No.
probably would be fine staying on east and west
Right.
to be able to stick with their shift they're currently working.
Right.
And have that as the option, and then you might find somebody who's willing to work at night. Or, I shouldn't say
I mean,
night,
we just
afternoon.
said
afternoon.
Late afternoon.
Yeah,
late
yeah, no,
afternoon
that's actually a really good idea.
5:15.
Because somebody might work part-time somewhere else from 9 to 1.
Or
and
we could
they
even
might be
pick up,
willing to pick up hours.
somebody
Right.
even pick up a afternoon.
Mhm.
I mean, just, we gotta,
two
We
to
just gotta
five.
get it out there so people know what we have available.
Right.
And the
because-
hours are
Two to
set, you can
five.
offer it like a,
Yes.
hey, we're offering a part-time position either morning or afternoon, and let them pick, and if they say, hey, I'll work
Right,
every
whichever
afternoon,
suits the
then
individuals.
make your
Right,
full-time.
right.
Because if they're already working 6:45 every third or fourth week, I don't think they would mind probably having an early week every 3 weeks.
Right, no, that's a great idea.
And maybe I would advertise it that way so people
Yeah,
know
it's absolutely,
that
Yep.
there's
Correct.
options.
absolutely. That's a good idea.
That's what I would do.
Good, write that down.
yeah, write it down. That's a good idea.
I know.
Write that
Sarah,
down.
do you do schedules?
I do.
Yep, you can tell.
I'm the scheduler.
Because then you have to problem solve it all the time.
Yep.
All the
Yeah.
time.
That's,
I've been banging my head for
Yeah.
2 years on this.
yeah.
I just
no,
thought of
it's-
that, because it's like, yeah, you don't have to have.
I think you're gonna have to write all this down for me so I can look at it.
Yeah,
No, that's good, Sarah.
Everybody's option,
yeah, that is, because it's, we have to,
full-time,
Be flexible.
early,
yes.
and
And that's what part-time people want, is
Mhm.
flexibility.
Correct.
Part-time, 2 to 5. Okay.
Good.
That's a really good idea. What were you
Good
gonna
job.
banging my head for the last 2 years?
Sometimes you just have to have
But
people
sometimes-
talking it through.
Yeah.
Correct, you
Yeah.
do. You have to reason
mean-
things through.
But I'm
Because
still
you
going
can
to-
look at
And be
this.
flexible to attempt to attract
Mhm.
different options.
Correct.
Where.
The way
you
our
know,
structure is, it's hard to be flexible.
Yeah.
That's,
look,
Right, you
the
have
buses
hours,
must
but-
run.
right.
Yep.
So I'm going to go through with the budget as
Yeah.
is with the fourth full-time
Okay.
person. In the event that we need to get to that, at least we have it in place.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, and you never know what could happen. I mean, anything could happen between now and the end
Yeah.
of next year, and to have it in place and have the availability to
Have the ability to do
jump
it.
on it when needed
Right.
Yep.
is worth it.
Yep, I think that's really truly the way to go. And then,
And then if you decide that you want to look at the, that.
Marketing thing?
That marketing thing, just know that it's expensive, because I've tried it. And we did not have any luck.
okay, well, we're not having.
And it's expensive.
That-
I'm going to
that-
circle around back to that, so I don't, 'cause-
I'd have to see how
yeah,
expensive it is.
and you, I mean, look into it.
Was the person an employee, or was it someone that worked?
Someplace else.
Well, they were selling it.
Yeah.
They were selling it. That's why. They-
Yeah.
I just
I mean, and they
I
can
think,
do
I think
it.
that person's actually part of the,
Way to get
Marketing
people,
committee.
though,
It's a,
On a
it's a
regular
marketing,
basis?
Say,
it's a
Jill,
marketing
do you-
thing.
yeah.
Do you know anybody?
Yes, correct, that is.
Through
We gotta get the word out there,
Yeah.
but then you have to go and
MGR.
approach.
MRG.
You do.
MRG?
Yeah,
If
I
you're
don't know.
traveling
Do you know what
in
that is, Nathan?
middle.
Yes.
Do you know anybody?
It's it's like a marketing
Media, radio
tool.
station,
Yeah.
WIFC, WDZ,
It's
Oh,
one of those-
Midwest Communications.
MRG Media, or whatever it is.
Okay.
Something like that.
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
So
Because
that's,
Yeah.
I think that person is part of. the-
They are, yeah, they're,
So that's the person that suggested it.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, we'll see.
Maybe
Well, that-
try this first, and then that can be your next.
And maybe
Well, we still
a
need to
nice
find out.
worded ad.
I'm,
You know.
I'm working on something right
Yeah,
now. I got it. I'm just,
but I mean-
I'm working it. It
Catchy.
says, are you an early riser? Are you a caring person looking to fill your morning time?
Or, but now we have a
Correct.
different option.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now I got to go back and rewrite it all.
Yeah, well, I mean,
But you can have two ads.
Right.
right,
You can have two.
Yeah.
Because one may appeal to someone and one may appeal to somebody
I
else.
agree.
You know, it doesn't hurt. They know we're looking for a driver.
Yeah. And this
Either
is
way.
this is actually it might just work.
Yeah.
Because
It
it's
will
not
work.
because it's not a morning thing.
It will
yeah,
work.
no, that's
I
a-
hope so.
Yeah.
My God, there's a genius idea.
Okay.
Okay,
Okay.
so there's that.
There's
So
that.
we're gonna stay as and try and fill it differently. Okay.
Okay.
Phew. So that pretty much covers the budget too, right?
yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Rick, I'm sorry.
definitely.
Yes.
I don't mind. How about, now, the next item is the Tomahawk bus service.
Yeah,
If
what's
you-
that
If you
about?
could describe a little bit about what your experience was and what your.
My experience was that I was approached by somebody on the Lincoln County Board asking about bus service for Tomahawk
Okay.
and how that would be done. And I said, well.
Do they have a bus?
They have nothing. They
Nothing.
want to incorporate and start their own bus service. My understanding is that we would not have anything to do with it, really. I had said that the possibility would exist that we would possibly be able to dispatch it. And that would be it. We're not putting our buses up there, we're not hiring employees, we're not doing anything with that. We would possibly be able to dispatch it. And I would think that that would come at a cost. They could contract the city of Merrill
Okay,
to do it.
so has their city, or just Lincoln County, thinks they should have a bus service?
I think it's somebody from Tomahawk,
Okay,
and
that's
somebody
like on
from
the city
Lincoln County.
council. That's on the city council.
not on our council, no.
No, no,
On
no,
their-
that
on
is
their
in the
council.
Tomahawk City Council that is looking into this. Okay, I agree that starting from scratch, maybe they can, it's gonna take a little bit for them to get something rolling.
Right.
Plus, just looking at all the expenses.
Correct.
And the
Yeah.
hurdles that have to be jumped
Yep.
when, you don't have staff and.
Yeah, and that was the one thing that I had said is, we don't have staff to do our own.
No.
Right.
No.
I think if someone from the city approaches you about the bus, that you go up there and talk to them either at a city council meeting or something, pros and cons. This is how you have to, get your buses. You're gonna have to buy a couple and.
Gonna have to get funding,
Yeah.
Yes.
right, grants?
Yeah, well, the city would, that would be,
Right.
Right.
But I don't think that we're in a position to say we want to take any of that on.
No.
No.
I do not think so,
No.
not because we don't
I think
service your own. so
even the
I agree.
dispatching, I guess,
Yeah.
I don't think any of it.
sorry.
I don't
didn't
think
mean-
any of it should be done because, there's a lot of people in the community that don't have access to the bus, that
Mhm.
pay city taxes that would like access to the bus, and it's not an option. So
Mhm.
I don't think that doing something for another city and not offering it to your current city, I don't agree with personally.
Could cause bad feelings. Another thing, I think, with the dispatching, it would be hard to imagine someone dispatching to an area they don't even know.
Are familiar.
Right.
They're not familiar with it at all.
Right.
And that could be tricky, because I know what our dispatchers are able to be flexible in saying, well, this person right now is waiting here, and they, can you pick them up because you're going right by there?
Mhm.
If you don't know the street you're talking about, you couldn't do that kind of thing, and I think that's such a really important part of the dispatcher's job.
Mhm.
And so I think, I would feel like we're sort of being put in a disadvantage to provide a service that I don't think a person from Merrill is really qualified to do.
But is the city of Tomahawk really sincere about getting the bus service, or is this
That I don't
just
know.
someone from Lincoln County that says
Right.
they should have a bus
Yeah.
service?
It could be.
But I'm not opposed to you trying to say, this is the steps that you need to take, or here, go this avenue or whatever, but at this time,
Right.
this
Shouldn't
is
have. Yeah.
nothing on
I would have to agree with that.
No responsibility, other than just supportive.
okay? I thought that would be, come back to you guys.
You have to maybe learn more about what they're talking about, and
Yeah, and I mean, going and talking to them to explain,
Yep.
like, what it all is, what it takes. You
Yeah,
need the
what it
drivers,
takes,
you
the
need
Wouldn't-
buses.
Yeah, and
you
that's-
need
It wouldn't hurt for them to come.
That's what
and-
somebody had told them too. They said, we don't have enough drivers to do our own stuff, so we're not,
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
but
no.
also then, you know, when Mayor Haas questioned me about it, he was told that we were gonna park one of our buses up there. Well, that's not gonna happen.
Yeah, no.
So,
I wonder who he was talking to.
Bill Bilecki.
Oh, okay.
And can I make a comment too? I think.
Oh, you're still awake?
I was
Oh, I know.
Oh, God, you guys are really very, very interesting. Such good points. Everything, such good discussion. But, I was just thinking, if they're really interested too, if they wouldn't want to just come and visit.
Yeah.
And hang out and ride the bus for a day and just see what all happens.
Watch
You
her
know,
just
they maybe fit to do that.
maybe sit with the dispatcher for a while and see you during a busy time.
Kind of job shadow.
Yeah,
You know what
yep.
it would entail.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good idea.
Right.
Correct.
Okay. But, I mean, at least now I know where we stand
Mhm.
Yep.
when they approach me again.
Correct.
Perfect, okay.
From that, we're on to future agenda items. I guess,
See how the budget goes through.
yeah. And I'd like to agree with Sue. I think maybe getting on that radio and really talking up, even without an ad, to really talking up what our need and,
Because on the radio, we're just promoting,
yes.
Right.
Mhm.
It's just free PR.
Yep.
You know,
really.
and people listen to it.
They do.
I know a lot of people at Jenny Towers listen to it, and they have kids and grandkids and great-great-great-great-grandkids that might,
Yeah.
pass at it, well, why don't you talk to
Right.
the bus people,
Yeah.
Do something, get a job.
Yeah,
You never know. I really think it's a valuable thing to do.
yeah.
Well, yeah, just the people I've been talking to about the job too, part-time position, it's a unique position because it's a highly skilled and it takes such responsibility for that position.
Mhm.
The part-time position, it's not a lot of hours. But the skill level and responsibility is
Right.
very high, the expectations high.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's like such a unique position to fill, and I understand it is very difficult to fill.
And also, I think that's why you've gotten a number of people who have been, for their lives, worked something else, retire early, or even not really early, but, when they still have some good time left to be able to do that kind of job, which is highly skilled, and it can be kind of stressful once in a while. And that would be another reason, I think, having it out on the public, on our radio station is because I think an older crowd really listens to that station a lot. So, yeah,
Yeah. Mhm.
so what else would be coming up? About a,
Are there other, I'm wondering, have we exhausted all of the recruitment places or options? Many of you are experienced with hiring, where else can we go besides the radio?
You can try like Indeed, but I don't have a lot of luck with that
No,
either. And the
they've-
expense is,
Or you can do it for free.
you can do some for free.
Yeah, you can put an ad on Indeed for free.
Yeah.
oh,
I think
People
the
are out
best,
there.
I think the best is you go someplace and you say, we're looking for drivers, Sarah, don't you know your uncle, he's retired now, maybe he'd be considering it. That's what it's a word of, you have to ask people, and then they're like, oh yeah, I never really thought about it, but that's a good idea, I could try that.
I have someone that comes in and works for me, like once a week, and she No.
Yeah.
Except Colgate.
Yeah, but
But, you know, it's,
It is a lot of responsibility.
yeah.
It is.
I mean,
Yeah.
it
And the
might be
bus is
worth
big.
it. Just to
Correct.
throw
It
an
is
ad
big.
on Indeed. I mean, if you get something, you get something. Just do the free ad. I mean, if it's free,
Is it free for how long? Is
it's
there
always
any?
free unless you want to pay for the premium sponsorship.
Ah.
Otherwise, it's free.
Some of the premium, all of a sudden, you're racking up these
Oh
expenses.
my
You-
gosh,
you-
yeah,
don't
you
wanna do
have to
that.
review
And, I
'em.
mean, experience here says the photo news is not the place.
Yeah.
no, unfortunately.
You can try it.
Yeah.
I think trying a free one on
If
it
it's
I would
free,
do
yeah.
a free one on Indeed.
Free one on Indeed. And you write your own ad then for that?
Mhm. So you can make it,
Have you, anyone,
And we got the city
Oh,
to help us. We got the marketing people.
Yeah.
Yep, yeah,
To
no,
help you.
I can get a hold of them.
There's our marketing
and
representative right
then,
over
you know,
there
with
from the
the
committee.
new, kind of Sarah's new idea and plan on hours that might work.
Yeah.
So you put out, can you do 2 free ones? So,
As you
I mean,
wanna
you
think.
could gear it towards,
Mhm.
you know, somebody who's got a,
I guess we're probably gonna wanna hear about the tour of lights and what you're,
Yep, I put
Yes.
that on,
okay.
because that'll be November.
when is
so
the
that'll be
tour
fun.
of lights?
December 13th.
Okay.
Hope
So, yeah,
it's-
I guess I
hope
would
there's
throw
lots
on
of,
some-
hope there's lots of snow by then, so it looks pretty.
Free ads on Indeed, and if you get something, you get something. If you don't, you don't.
Yeah.
You can always renew it after however many weeks when it goes down, and it's worth a
Okay.
try.
Anything's
has
worth a
anyone
try.
tried Glassdoor?
Glass
What
door.
was that?
Glass door.
Has anyone looked at the website called Glassdoor?
No, I've never heard
It's
of
very
it.
much like Indeed. Yeah, it's a good one as well. It's also the same platform as Indeed. I do not know if it costs so,
Glass door.
but that's
Okay.
Glassdoor. Funny name, but yes, there's a lot of shops on there as well.
Have you used that, Jill?
There's also like the NTC website that has its own job posting
Well, that'd be something.
platform
Yep,
as well.
I got that stuff. I got that
Yeah.
information.
I mean, it's worth, I mean, if it's free, you might as well put it out wherever you can
Mhm.
and try to get options.
Mhm.
See if I
Okay.
had my phone.
Next
Looking
meeting
up
date.
Glassdoor.
Me too.
As long as we're breaking, do you have any idea how the other departments for the city advertise?
They put box ads in the photo news, don't they?
Yeah, they do
There's-
photo news
Mhm.
and the
Facebook.
website and Facebook.
Okay.
Okay, oh, Facebook, okay.
Yep, we have it on Facebook, we have it on the website already, it's been there forever. It's one of those things that just, people see it and it's just been there so long and they ignore it.
Yep, that's why you gotta go someplace new.
Or revamp it.
Yeah.
Correct, revamp it.
But if we
Yeah,
have free
and I'm-
options, I'm all about free
I'm-
options.
Is it on the Barrow
Totally agree.
Transit site or city?
City of Maine.
It's on the City of Merrill website.
Okay, okay.
Anything else on future agenda items? Okay, then the next item is, next meeting date will be November 20th,
Wow.
2023 at 4 PM.
Happy hunting.
Be meeting here in the City Hall Council Chambers. That's where we'll be and when we'll be there. Okay, so, entertain a motion for adjournment.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.